Hey, Coach, welcome to another episode of Build with the CEO. I am your resident CEO, Trevor, and I'm excited to be here with you today on a Tuesday at noon. And this month, we are talking all about offers and conversions, and we're going deep. Now, if you missed the episode last week, we were talking about layer 3 of understanding your client. And layer 3 is the emotional layer of the problem that your client is looking to solve. And if you haven't watched that episode, definitely go back and watch that one first, because this episode today, we're going to talk about building an offer that actually converts, really the anatomy of an offer. And if we don't understand layer 3 of our customer, if we don't understand the emotional layer, it's going to be hard for us to build a really effective offer. So we're going to use today to kind of dig into that and kind of show you all the pieces to it, because there is a strategy in setting up an offer so that it resonates with a client. And in the coaching world, right, this isn't we're not in the widget world. We're not in the I buy something for $10 and sell it for 30. We're in the how do I position what I'm offering in a way that the client sees the value and they're willing to invest that value because they know that what they're going to be getting is greater than what they're paying, right? So they're either in enough pain where they want to solve that really quickly, or the result is going to be so awesome that they're willing to invest, right? Because this is a really challenging world, right? We aren't in the world of instant gratification. We're in the world of pay me now, and you'll get your results in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 8 weeks, a year, right? And we have the Olympics going on right now, which is kind of a fun, synergy that we have going on, right? People will prepare for 4 years in order to have a chance to compete at the Olympics, right? They don't actually get the reward until 4 years later, right? Much of what you're selling as a coach, someone is purchasing right now, right? But they don't get to go home with it right now. They have to wait 6, 8 weeks. So it's really challenging to make that sale. But if we position it the right way, right, and we have enough social proof behind us that says, hey, this person is believable, we can have a lot of success. So let's dig into it. Again, if you missed last week's episode around layer 3, the emotional layer, definitely go back and check that out. Now, the first thing we need to think about is what is the customer actually buying, right? What is the vacation that they are buying? And if we don't understand it, go back last episode, do it again, right? And then how do we structure that offer around that understanding of what the customer actually wants to buy? Most coaches, they kind of do this backwards. As coaches, we love the craft, right? We love the method. And so we talk about the cool thing that we're doing. We talk about the kettlebells, the macro tracking, the habits, the behavior change. But that's the method. Those are the features. They're not actually the benefits. And so as a coach, when we move from talking about features to talking about benefits, it's going to resonate with the client, right? And I ran into this a lot early on in my career, right? I get really excited about helping someone new, and I just learned this new thing and I want to implement it with this client. And so I'm telling them about it, but they just kind of look right through that, because the client's just like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to just look in my closet and not have to decide whether or not I'm going to wear something based upon how I'm going to feel when I put it on. I want to be able to look in my closet and be able to wear anything that's there. That's what they want to accomplish, right? How we get them there, they don't really care. If they could, sit on the couch and watch Netflix and get there, they would do it. But that's the method as coaches. And we talk about that method. And I need us to get away from that. We need to be talking about it as benefits first. And we'll get into like how here in a second, but we want to reverse engineer everything from the transformation down, right? Because if your offer doesn't immediately answer what's in it for me as the client in the first 5 seconds, we've already lost them, right? Really doesn't matter what we say after that. So let's break down the exact anatomy of how an offer that converts, not necessarily theory, but like how this is actually built. And I'll try to bring in as many examples as I can from my current businesses, just to help kind of give you a little bit of a little bit of beef here when we go about it. So we talked a little bit about the traditional way that most coaches are doing it, right? They talk about what they do, the kettlebells, the macro tracking, the habits, the whatever. Maybe they talk about the software, right? I'm the CEO of a software company, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you that it is not the software that makes someone buy, right? The software is part of your method. It allows you to provide a better experience. It helps you get the client a better result, right? And so it's not the software. Too many times coaches think, oh, if I get this new shiny thing, more people will buy. That's just not the case, right? It's not the custom meal plans. It's not the weekly check-ins. It's not that stuff. Again, that's just part of your method. So we need to start our offers with the transformation. Okay, what do they get? And then we need to start talking about the timeline. When do they get it? How long is it going to take? Then we can talk a little bit about our method, right? What's unique? Why should they choose us? What have we discovered that other coaches don't know? And then finally, at the end, we get into the features. So, what are the actual details around how we get that person that result? Okay. And so, people buying the transformation, they're not buying how they get to that transformation. Okay, so that's something always you just kind of keep in mind as we go. There's 5 major components of an offer that converts. So the first one is the transformation promise. Okay, this is that layer 3 emotional outcome that we talked about last week. We got to go deep with this stuff, right? This isn't just surface level demographics. This is layer 3. I want to get my confidence back. I want to feel capable again. I want to take control of my health, right? This isn't, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? There is a layer below 20 pounds. What is life like when you've lost the 20 pounds? How are you acting differently when you've lost 20 pounds? Now we're getting to that emotional layer. This is your headline. Okay. This is the thing that we sing from the mountaintops. It's the headline, right? It's emotional layer, the transformation promise. Okay. It's not 12 weeks of meal plans. It's the transformation promise. The next one is the timeline. Okay. When will they see the result? Right. This starts to give a container to the person looking at it in their mind. All right. What do I need to commit to? Right. Is it 4 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? Is it 18 weeks? We need something. It may or may not be what the person may need in order to ultimately get them to the end result. But what can they expect in this time frame? Right? It provides a container for that person to be able to conceptualize what it is that we're doing, right? And so I like putting things in weeks, like 12 weeks, I think is better than 3 months. 12 weeks kind of feels a little bit shorter than 3 months. We need to be realistic about what someone can actually accomplish in this time. And we also need to be specific, right? In 90 days, you'll, right? Instead of over time, you'll, right? We want to be specific with the language rather than this really kind of vague sometime in the future. Our mind has a hard time wrapping it has a hard time conceptualizing that, right? So we need to be as specific as we can. Okay. So we have the component number 1, right, is the transformation promise. So that's the first thing that we're going to kind of lay out. The second piece is the timeline. Right. So remember, like you watch every episode, right? You do, don't you? But I talk about a marketing statement, and this isn't something I came up with, but we can create a very simple marketing statement to help us with our offers, right? We've created a program that helps insert your person here, right? We want to call out that person, achieve XYZ result, right? That's the transformation promise in XYZ timeframe. That's our timeline promise. Right there is just a really solid 1-line elevator pitch that you can use anywhere, right? Hey, I've created this new program for stay-at-home moms. That is the most overused avatar in the fitness world. It's all I can think of right now, right? Stay-at-home moms get their confidence back and still drink wine, and get their confidence back, lose 20 pounds without having to give up wine and dinners out in as little as 2 workouts a week, in 90 days, whatever that may be, right? But you get the framework, right? We've got avatar, we've got transformation promise, and then we've got timeline. Okay, so those are the first things. The third thing is going to be your method, right? What's unique? What's your P90X? Okay, again, remember, P90X doesn't really mean anything to the general consumer, right? It's high intensity plyometrics, right? It's ultimately what it is at the end of the day. But we're not going to call it high intensity plyometrics. We're going to call it P90X. So, what is your P90X? And that's your method, your unique approach. And yes, you may do something similar to a lot of other coaches, but a lot of other coaches aren't you. They don't have your experience. So you have to figure out your unique angle on it based upon who you've worked with. Maybe you have a personal story that you can weave into it, right? No one else can use that, right? So we need your unique approach. And we want to frame it as why this works, right? You've put these things together because over the course of time, you've worked with all these different people and you found that the people that did X, Y, and Z achieved the result. And now you're bringing those things into a program to help this type of person achieve this type of result, right? The transformation promise in this time frame. So we need to figure out this unique method, right? Just take what you do, right? And let's just play with some things. Use AI, use ChatGPT, use Claude to help you come up with your method. And that would actually be a really good way for you to get some unique names. Is just give it everything that you do and how you help someone achieve a result, right? And then say, hey, I need to name this. Let's come up with some cool names and go back and forth and brainstorm some things. Okay, so that's that's component number 3. And then component number 4 is our social proof. Okay. Value and what someone pays hinges on believability. Okay. If I don't believe that you can get me a result, I'm not going to pay you a lot to coach me. Right. But if I have 100% belief in you as a coach, because you have a wall of people that sing your praises, if you can show transformation over transformation, right? As a coach, I can charge more because that client believes they're going to get the result. And so they are willing to pay more because they think that you will be able to help them because you've helped all of these other people, right? So social proof is extremely, extremely important. It's the reason we should be collecting testimonials after a client has worked with us, and even while clients are working with us. It's why if we're in the transformation weight loss world, we should be getting before and afters. It's why every infomercial uses before and afters, right? They are extremely powerful. Especially as a visual to show someone what is possible. Because if they believe that you can help them, they are willing to pay more because they value it more. Okay. And again, with social proof, the more specific we can be, the better. Susie lost 30 pounds, not just client secret results. Right? If we can show the actual results that people are getting, this answers the question of, will this work for someone like me? Right? We want to be showing social proof of people that look like our prospects, right? And that's our social proof. If you don't have any social proof, if you're just starting out, right? Maybe you have a personal story, right? That's a good place to start. If you made the transformation yourself, you can utilize your personal story as a way to start generating some traction. And then as you get more clients, right? As you get more clients, you can use them in there as well. So you can start weaving it all together. Okay. So let's go through our components again because we do have a few. First one, we have got our transformation promise. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is the timeline. So remember the marketing statement, we help XYZ person achieve XYZ result in XYZ time frame, right? Easy marketing statement using my XYZ method, right? So the next one we move into is the method. And then the next component is social proof, right? Here is a website, here is a wall of people that we've helped that look like you, right? And then the last component is really what's included. Like, how do you actually do this? So they're already sold in the transformation, the timeline, the method, all of that. And now the features are just a confirmation of that value, right? It's 3 times a week of training. It's nutritional guidance. It's weekly check-ins. It's monthly reviews. It's calls. It's access to an app. And all that stuff should relate back to how you help the person achieve the results, right? We do 3 times a week of training so that you don't have to go to the gym and figure it out on your own. All you need to do is walk through the door, and our coaches will lead every session and adapt the sessions to where you're at on that day. So you don't have to worry about getting injured or end up on the treadmill because you don't know what to do, right? We provide meal plans so you don't have to try to figure out what you're going to have for dinner every night. We'll show you time tested, kid approved recipes that everyone in your family is going to love and take less than 20 minutes to make, right? So, really simple things. We add the feature and then we add the benefit. Really cool thing you can add in is so that, right? We include an app so that everything you need is included in one spot. You don't have to search everywhere or search your email for everything that we give you. It's all in there in one spot, right? So that really good thing that you can use in order to kind of build out our landing page if we're talking to a client, things like that, right? All right, so we've got the transformation promise, we've got the timeline, we've got the method, we have got the social proof, and then we've got what's included, the features. Those are the 5 components we need in order to create a really compelling offer. Because if we lead with just the features, right, you're just competing on price. Who can provide meal plans? Who can provide macro tracking? Who can provide nutrition coaching? Who can provide workouts the cheapest, right? If we lead with the transformation, what's the end result? What's the vacation, right? You're competing on value. And if we have a wall of social proof, if we have undeniable proof that you can help them be successful, that increases the value, right? And now, right, we're starting to compete on value rather than competing on price. So I would be remiss to not talk about the elephant in the room, which is pricing. Okay. So pricing is a very interesting, very nuanced thing. And I probably talk about this on every call that I do with coaches. So first thing to know is there is no perfect formula for this. There is no, here is what this thing costs, right? Because it is value, and value is determined by the client. It's not necessarily determined by you. And the client tells you if they think it's worth it by paying that value. So there's a couple ways that we can tell if we're right with our price market fit. Is everyone that you get on a call with saying yes, and you never have any price objections? If the answer is yes, no one has any price objections, then you're probably priced too low. And the easiest way is to raise your prices for the next person you talk to. Okay. It can be done both in the brick and mortar and in the online world. And we keep increasing until we have a large enough percentage of people. Some consultants will say 50%, some will even say 60% of people saying no. Okay. It's too expensive. Right. Now we've started to figure out, okay, what is the prospect? What is the potential client valuing what I am selling at? Because in the coaching world, we're really selling the transformation, right? We're selling the belief that we can help them achieve this thing that they want to achieve, right? This isn't like a car that they're buying, right? This isn't a widget that they're buying, right? These aren't groceries that they're buying. It's not something they can really physically touch, right? We're selling the transformation. So that it's hard to pinpoint that value, right? And the value, we can increase the value by how we talk about it, how clearly we can talk about it, how well we can, or I shouldn't say how well, how believable it is to the client that we can help them achieve that result. Right? These are all ways that we can start to influence this value. So step 1 is just to keep increasing your prices until you start having a lot of price objections, right? And now you've started to find that price market fit. If you're a brand new coach, don't worry about tons of different offers. Pick an offer and just go with it. For most coaches, one-to-one coaching right out of the gate is the best option. Mainly because you're a brand new coach, you need reps, you need revenue. One-to-one is going to be the highest return right away. And you're going to start to understand how to coach. Once you've been coaching for I don't even want to put a time frame on it. I was going to say 5 to 10 years, but it doesn't need to be that long by any means. Then we can start to look at different models. And I actually just had a conversation with a coach right before I jumped on here with you. And this coach, really successful with one-to-one coaching, really, really successful. And they were looking to grow, but they wanted to grow without hiring more people. So it needed to fit into their current constraints. They should be able to do it. And they didn't want it to be like overwhelming or extremely stressful. And so after a lot of back and forth, originally they had come to me with the idea that, hey, I wanted to offer a really low ticket, $30 to $50 a month. Here's the deliverables that they're going to get. And I just want to sign up a bunch of people for that. Okay, cool. Like that can work. I don't recommend it for really anybody unless you have a massive audience, because your retention is going to be really low, churn is going to be really high, price point's pretty low, so you need a lot of volume in order for it to be worth it, right? And if you don't have a huge audience, you don't have a pool of people to continue to fill the bucket, and so it can be really challenging. And it's a fair amount of work, and you have a lot of customer complaints and a lot of customer service issues. So after a lot of back and forth and a lot of questioning, we really decided on a high value, small group, cohort based program as a good option for her to do. Already a really, really successful one-to-one coach, been doing it for 5+ years, has a lot of success in helping people. So she has a lot of social proof, doesn't really want to add on more one-to-one because it is very time intensive for her. And so we settled on this higher ticket, right? High ticket is, you know, individual to each person, like what high ticket means to them, but a higher ticket, cheaper than their one-to-one, right? Program that she can structure out a curriculum that she's going to take a group of people through. So that made a lot of sense for her because she was already doing the one-to-one. And now if she does bring someone into like a sales consultation, if she has spots in one-on-one, she can definitely offer that. But now she also has a downsell into this group coaching program. Okay. Right out of the gate, I wouldn't suggest something like that. Just stick with one offer, pick the offer. If you're already experienced coach and you have a little bit of an audience, you can go the group route right away or the curriculum based route right away. But just kind of understand where you're at in space and probably stay away from really low ticket type of coaching, the $30 to $50 range, unless you can do it in an extremely scalable way or you have a really big audience. Okay. I kind of like for most people right away, we have the all in VIP, very expensive. If I can do everything for a client, that's really helpful because it provides an anchor, right? It provides an anchor in price on what services are worth. And then we have potentially a downsell into what we may want them to actually buy, right? That kind of two-tier can work really well. If you're in like a gym space and you do transformations in a gym, I think we can move into like more of a three-tiered approach where we have the kind of VIP offer, right? If someone comes in and says they want to lose weight, right? We give them the VIP concierge option. If that doesn't work, then we give them the call it the transformation 6-week, 12-week transformation option. And if that doesn't work, then we just start with training, right? We have these nice kind of downsell options for them in that space. But that's a brick and mortar that's already established, right? You already have a client base, and then we can move people through these pieces. If you're an online coach, I think just sticking to one offer and really going all in on that one-to-one coaching, cohort-based group model, whatever that may be, but going all in on that and not having 50 different options to choose from. It just adds too much complexity to a young business, and I think it can. I think it can lead to some burnout, resentment, trying to kind of do multiple things at once. So stick to one thing, right? Stick to one thing, and I think you'll be all right. And then finally, like presentation matters. If we're doing landing pages, kind of an offer document or something like that, we're always leading with the transformation promise. Remember, that's the headline. And we're painting these before and afters. We're moving into that social, we're displaying that social proof. Want to address some of the objections before they even come up. And then we make the next steps crystal clear. Right? If we do have a landing page, there is one next step. Right? Maybe it's book a call, maybe it's buy now, maybe it's apply here, but there is one call to action on that page. And this should also be for your website. We should have what's the call to action on a website. Most of the time, it's just to collect someone's contact information. right? But on a sales page, offer document, there's one thing. In a sales conversation, once we've done the discovery, right? That was episode 1. I gave away a bunch of things on how to do the discovery. You understand their layer 3, and then you present the offer as a prescription to everything that you've learned about them, right? You've learned what their problems are. You've learned where they've been successful in the past. You've learned where they've struggled in the past. And now we offer the prescription to that, specific to them. And so you may the prescription may be a certain program, right? But we're going to articulate it and we're going to talk about it in a way that makes sense to them and their past. Right? We're customizing the offer to them. Right? So some of the biggest mistakes that coaches make is they lead with features, right? Their offers aren't out there. We're not having a clear call to action, right? They maybe have too many offers, so the client doesn't know what decision to make, right? And so we want it to be very clear. We have a single offer, right? And it's easy for the client to take that next step. Okay. So if you take anything away from today, it is start with the transformation and work backwards from there. We don't start with features. We start with transformations. Features are part of it, but they come last. Okay. We've got the transformation. We've got the timeline. We've got the method. We've got the social proof. And then we have the what's included. Those are your features, right? We price for the transformation, not for time. Okay, the value is in the transformation. And if you have tons of social proof, right, there's believability, which allows us to justify that value. Okay, and then we present confidently and to anyone and everyone that fits the person that we can help. Okay, that's what it comes down to, just taking that action. So hopefully this was helpful for you in thinking about the offer, how to structure your offer. Look at your current offers. Are you selling the transformation or are you selling features? And if you are selling features, make that switch right now and then just get it in front of more people. Okay. That's all we got. I'll be back here next week talking more about offers and conversions. But for this week, have a great week. Go change some more lives. My name is Trevor, CEO of Coach Catalyst. See you next week.